Where are the jobs promised by Narendra Modi, asked Priyanka Gandhi in her first speech after joining active politics. Priyanka targets the Prime Minister for raising frivolous issues instead of addressing the real ones. Law Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad hits back saying dealing with terrorism is not a small issue. The Trinamool Congress will field 40.5% female candidates in the upcoming election, declares West Bengal Chief Minister and Party Supremo Mamata Banerjee. The TMC releases its list of candidates. Former actor and Bankura MP Munmun Sen will contest against Babul Supriyo all the way from Asansol. The UK joins the growing list of countries banning the Boeing 737 MAX jet pressure mounts on Indian aviation regulator, the DGCA, to act as regulators from Singapore to Australia, Indonesia and now UK have moved to ground or block the plane following 2 deadly crashes in the last 5 months. SpiceJet says it has implemented precautionary measures and the 737 MAX is a highly sophisticated aircraft. Kotak Mahindra Bank proposes to cap promoter voting rise to 20% by March 2020 as it seeks interim protection by the Bombay High Court in its tussle with the RBI. The case has been now adjourned to the 1st of April. Retail inflation in February climbs to a 4-month high of 2.5%, even as factory output decelerates to 1.7%. Economists say with inflation within the RBI's comfort zone and IIP weak, the central bank has enough room to cut policy rates on the 5th of April. The bull's charge is intact on the Lal Street. Nifty clocks its best 2-day rally in nearly 5 months to end above 11,300. Positive global cues clubbed with strong buying from foreign investors boost the risk on rally. And it's a Brexit blow for Theresa May. Britain's Attorney General Cox says the revised deal did not give Britain any legal means by exiting the Irish backstop arrangements unilaterally. The crunch vote in Parliament will take place later tonight. It is such a pleasure to be joining you on this edition of the India Development Debate. I'm Supriya Srinath and we're going to put the spotlight on elections 2019. Yes, it is the mother of all electoral battles. This is going to be a high-stake contest, but it is going to be a battle that's perhaps going to be fought both offline and online, and which is perhaps why we saw India's election regulator gear up to meet the challenges of the virtual as well as the real world. Yes, we are really referring to EC's guidelines on social media platforms, tackling the menace of fake news, doing with propaganda ads, making voters aware of what's really happening on social media and trying to tackle the issues there. Remember, India is the second largest market as far as the internet is concerned. Many people believe social media is going to be an important tool in the hands of politicians to manage these elections, and it's only fair that we are perhaps the time is right to now be talking about this. I've got a really special panel with me right now. Akash Banerjee joins us, so does Nitin Pai. I've got Vineet Goenka from the BJP and Shama Mohammed will be joining us from the Congress Party. Nitin Pai, if I may start with you, and congratulations on a really fantastic column that you wrote earlier on this. And I'm going to take a thread from what you say, that the Commission must be commended to factor in social media as it tries to regulate elections in India. But can it really do enough? And you know, obviously the Commission can't be blamed for not doing enough, but realistically possible, can the Commission make rules and you know, some of the intervention that has happened, is that going to be enough to regulate what's happening on social media as far as elections 2019 are concerned? Nitin.
Yeah, fact is if the question is the Election Commission of India right to do what it's doing? Is it necessary to do what it's doing? The answer is obviously yes. Although social media penetration is probably about 40% of the urban voter, a quarter of the rural voter, it does have an influence on the way politics is conducted, the way narratives are built, the way propaganda is conducted in the electoral context today, right? So it has an effect. So it makes sense for the Election Commission to intervene and try to enforce some norms, the electoral norms on social media. Now, if the question is it going to be effective? Unfortunately, the answer is no. It is extremely difficult for the Election Commission to have the kind of sway that it has on the online world, mainly because it's just not possible. Because in the old days, the players it could regulate were the political parties and the candidates and people deemed to be working with the political parties. But you can't do that online, because I mean, just imagine 48 hours before the polling, you want to have a cooling off period. You could enforce that in the old days. But imagine what people will be doing 48 hours before an election. They are going to be discussing the election. There's not going to be a cooling off of any kind on social media, and not least because you have a 1 month long election, and a conversation on politics in New Delhi could very well be picked up by a person in Bangalore. So it just doesn't make sense to try and enforce some of those other rules which the Election Commission has.
Okay, Nitin, just hold that thought, because I'm going to take a cue from what you just said. Campaigning traditionally ends 48 hours before the vote is cast, but can on social media you control that? I think there is another, there's another objective to doing and doing this discussion, and which is that offline you can control the candidates, you can control political parties. Online, the conversations can be generated by other people. I mean, whether it's journalists, whether it's, people who have an opinion, whether it's people at large who want to start a debate. And you obviously can't control it throughout the election. You obviously can't control it in the last 48 hours as well. And Akash, which is why I will ask you that the online conduct, more than just the candidate and voters, it is also a function of third parties. I mean, anybody can ignite a debate, a conversation, and how do you clamp down on that? And is it realistic to apply the same offline rules to online media?
Of course, it is not realistic. And I think you got a very, very nice sense of what should be done and what will unfortunately happen on the ground. So we are already pretty much clear. I mean, we shouldn't waste our time in any debate and discussion if it's going to be controlled, because it's not going to be controlled, because it can't be controlled, because we don't have the mechanisms to control it. The problem, unfortunately, is deeper than what even Nitin was talking about. The problem is of the intent of the Election Commission, and then I'll come to the public part of it. 2 quick points. You're talking about controlling the offline, that it is more controllable, it is more malleable, the Election Commission can have its eyes on it. And yet, on the day of election, again this year, despite so many objections, we will see full-page ads on the newspapers on the day that you'll go out to vote. Because there is a lacuna within the People's Representation Act, which the Election Commission, despite so many pleas, hasn't been able to sort out. So we haven't been able to look at the offline, forget the online. Now, quickly coming to the online, I did this tweet earlier in the morning. This is after the Election Commission has announced its so-called very grandiose measurement of social online behavior, and they launched this this app, which by the way goes by the name of C-Vigil app. Now, in the disclaimer of this C-Vigil app, it read, the Instant app is a training version of the C-Vigil application being offered on an on-as basis. All photos, videos uploaded during the training shall be treated as dummy data and no action will be taken by the Election Commission. This was pointed out this morning to the Election Commission, after which the Election Commission updated its app. This is the situation where we are living in, where the intent also needs to be questioned. Now, once we have got that out of the way, very clearly, it is the role of you and I, the citizen, the media, to be very aware of what games are being played on them. We are being played upon. Social media is being used as a tool. There are people on factories manufacturing these forwards. If you understand that, and if the people are explained that this WhatsApp message in the morning hasn't really come from nowhere, there are people who are feeding this information to you. then maybe we'll get somewhere.
Precisely. No, I think, Akash, you make a brilliant point there, that there is an entire army of social media, soldiers who are at it, and which is where you get that sort of data from. Let's take this across to the politicians, and let's start with the BJP and then the Congress. And Vineet Goenka, you wear a very responsible hat here. You're not just a politician who's representing the BJP on the show. You've also been the IT cell head of the BJP. In fact, one of its co-founders. There is a lot of proxy campaigning, there is advertising, there is expenditure, which in any case is a menace. My fear is, and that's a fear that a lot of people voice, that political parties or politicians are going to do a lot of this shadow, this proxy campaign through social media without getting their own hands dirty. Can you at all assure voters that you will not? Because, it seems very unbelievable at this stage.
I have three parts to my answer. First, the intent of the election commission is very good, and I think all the political parties, whether they are national or regional, they should be very responsible, and I promise that we will be very, very responsible. Now, there are three people who do this. There are three parties who actually, there are the three different segments within a party who does it. One, the party does it centrally by the IT cell of any party. That is, I think, probably very, very responsible, and they are responsible because they will be held responsible by election commission. Number two, all the candidates also have their own teams, or they would like to do that. Now here, it is the responsibility of the central team of the party that they guide them, they advise them not to get into anything which will lead them to be disqualified, or at least to be called as immoral or illegal. So I think that the party has to do the training part of that. And I hope all the candidates, including our candidates, will be responsible. Now, there is a third segment of people. These are party karyakartas or enthusiasts who do it by themselves without adhering to the party. Now, it is irrespective of Bharatiya Janata Party or any other party they do it. Here, these karyakartas have to understand things have changed. They should be very responsible. When you write something, if it goes against the party, it goes against the society or humanity, this will not be good. And you will be also held responsible. And in turn, your party may be blamed. So any party karyakarta who is there, whether it is my party or any other party, whether it is AAP, Congress, anybody else, they have to be very responsible. And I hope the days coming will be clean. Now, yes, rightly pointed out by the previous speakers, previous panelists, then there may be somebody who will play foul. I hope humanity does not go to that level.
Okay. I do hope the social media narrative doesn't go to the level that we are seeing, and I'm actually glad in a way that you're saying political parties will do it, candidates will do it. You're at least admitting, and it's a clarion call that you're trying to make to the to the enthusiastic quote unquote karyakartas. I wish this clarion call works, because it quite doesn't for a lot of parties across the board. And Shama Mohammed, while this is one part of the debate, that what do you do with these quote unquote over enthusiastic karyakartas who want to outdo each other on social media. I know all of us hate it. We hate the trolling, we hate the war cry, but there is an element of when EC gets into this, when the Election Commission is trying to monitor narratives, when we're giving power to social media platforms to take out and take off stuff unilaterally, are we also in some way curbing the whole freedom of speech, of expression? I mean, that it seems the principle of doing so underlies this. Shama.
Couple of points here. BBC did a survey in which they came out with an answer saying that the fake news comes most of the time from pro-BJP accounts than others. Now, we have something called the NAMO app. The NAMO app has something called, I'm sure the BJP spokesperson knows that, My Network. Now, My Network spreads the most amount of fake news. It's come out. And this, when it was asked to Mr. Amit Walvia, why does it happen? He said, you know what, there are so many different karyakartas, fans, users who's putting their stuff into it, and that's why this happens. But when you look into it, it is not the user content. It is basically, there are 3 accounts in My Network, and they are known as India Eye, Modi, Bharosa, and Social Tamasha. So they are not the users. So when you download My Network, you also get these 3 accounts to you. You have to get it. And from these 3 accounts, these fake news spreads. So the first thing the Bharatiya Janata Party has to do is control their own accounts and see to it that fake news does not spread, including us, Congress Party. If there is something happening from within our party, we are going to see to it since the EC's come out. The number two question I want to ask is, EC has put out this saying, said that, you know, we will take stringent action. I want to ask the EC, can I finish please? I want to ask the EC, when the Gujarat elections happened, PM Modi went and voted. He came out and had a small rally. Did they take action against Prime Minister Modi? Just now EC came out and said you can't put banners with any of the soldiers, and there was only one party which has done that. Why didn't EC come out and say, but you know, these are the things. So we need to know what these stringent actions by the election commission is when
the
they
EC has very categorically.
That's my, I mean, you know.
Okay. No, Shama, give me a minute. I think the Election Commission has now in very emphatic terms said that no soldiers' pictures can be used by any political party. Some of what you raise is valid. But before I go any further, Nitin Pai, I think, in fact, let me take this across to Akash Banerjee and then I'm coming to you, Nitin. And Akash, you know, while social media in terms of Google and Twitter and Facebook have made some commitments, and I'll come to the merits and demerits of that, what really is the fake news generation factory is WhatsApp. It is end-to-end encrypted. The government and the WhatsApp haven't been able to arrive at a conclusive agreement of sorts. Most of the vitriolic political messaging that comes from WhatsApp. Have they been let loose in many ways?
You know, I saw perhaps for the very first time that there was some constructive action as far as Twitter is concerned yesterday. We all know what happened with the whole surf ad example. Now, one of the accounts that was Shekhar Chanchal, which I'm seeing right now, who spread this whole vitriol that this is communal, this ad should be banned, has been actually taken off the platform. That account is suspended. So there was a pushback as far as the surf ad is concerned, and you saw the platform taking some action. It's the same answer to your question as what is to happen on WhatsApp. WhatsApp is not going to come to the rescue of you and I or any right-thinking civilian or any government that doesn't want fake news not to happen. Because WhatsApp says this problem is very unique in India. It doesn't happen anywhere else. We are so, and perhaps it happens is because these armies are using WhatsApp so well. Now, hypothetically, can it be tracked down? Can WhatsApp track down specific IPs that are sending out from a concentrated position, or repeatedly it is coming out from certain IPs? Yes, the answer is yes. But under the guise of, oh, it is all encrypted, we cannot do anything about it, they will not. What they have done is, of course, limited to 5 forwards per person. But what Twitter, what WhatsApp, what Facebook can do is target IPs where fake news is originating from. The EC can crack down on them and say, look, these are your repeat offenders. Remember, our problem is not with fake news. Our problem is more with the people who do fake news again and again. They are repeat offenders and nobody dare touch them. That is the bigger problem. Now tell me, where is the technological issue or where is the knowledge issue in trying to bring these people to book? It is the intent and it is really the want to do more.
Fair point. Right. No, fair point. I don't dispute that at all. But Nitin, I'll come back to you, and I want to go back to, Facebook in recent weeks has stepped in to make election ads more transparent. Published by or paid for by are things that, that are actively being talked about. What has also been talked about with the parliament panel is that they will unilaterally take off content. One can argue that, are you giving too much power to platforms to take off content unilaterally? Again, that's a subject of debate. But as far as ads are concerned, do you believe this is going to lead to more transparency, or do you actually believe that, it's too veiled? And do people actually see whether it's paid for or sponsored by or published by? Does it make a meaningful difference? Because, these ads are now going to be a part of the campaign expense for any candidate, which is capped at 70 lakh rupees for every constituency.
Yeah, let's take that first thing about unilateral takedown of content in the first place. Well, it's a tricky issue, because in a normal context, I would totally support the right of a platform to decide whatever they want to do, what kind of content policies they want to have, and what kind of content they want to take and what they want to take off their platform. But allowing these companies to unilaterally decide what kind of content should be there and should not be there in the context of an election is tricky, because it gives them the power to determine what kind of narratives are up there and what they're not there. And if such a unilateral action is backed by the election commission, they have a blanket, power from the election commission to go and do what they want about content, then it's tricky. So I think there has to be a more sophisticated way of doing this. Where what is clearly not, there's no controversies. If the election commission tells Facebook or Twitter to take down something, then they have to do it, and I think they've agreed, right? So there is a little bit of a concern there. Now, on financing of elections, I think it's a joke, right? First of all, we are all living in this weird world where we think 70 lakh rupees, which is 5 rupees per voter. Just 5 rupees per voter is what an election candidate is allowed to spend, right? And we expect this is going to be, sufficient to run any election in this day and age. So obviously, we have a problem with that. Now, when it comes to putting out advertisements, now what if I were to put out an advertisement supporting a candidate or supporting a particular cause which a candidate identifies with? Right. Now, the election commission can't come after me. Akash is probably going to have a lot of videos promoting a certain view around that time and is going to promote that on Facebook and Twitter. Now, the election commission can't come after him and say that you've spent what you've done is actually election campaigning. So I think catching, even however transparent you go, trying to catch people for overspending on election campaigns online or offline is a fool's errand. I don't think you can ever do that. Those of us who believe it can be done are just
Nitin, let me come in there for a minute, because I think that's another debate that we will do, and I promise to call you back on this. Is 70 lakh going to be enough for a constituency which has 26, 27, 28 lakh voters? And like you said, it boils down to 5 rupees every voter for most constituencies in India and the kind of population embarkment that happens. But a quick last word, and please make it brief, both Vineet Goenka and Shama Mohammed. And Vineet, while a lot of emphasis is being paid on social media, is there, and within the BJP, there's obviously a lot of emphasis on social media usage. There's a lot of collaborated tweeting and everything that happens. My question really is, apart from the messaging and apart from reaching out and democratizing the whole narrative, social media has been, very useful and successful there. How watchful will you be in terms of in terms of being responsible? EC has laid a guideline. The adherence to the rule is its success. Political parties have always not adhered, and that's the big concern. Vineet Goenka.
See, Supriya ji, humanity will always have a love-hate relationship with technology. When the technology progresses, we will always have a challenge of the technology. We can't show our back to technology as humans. Also, that today's society or today's country or today's voters will also love to address that, and the parties will also do that. Yes, there will be challenges, I think, but we will have to rush up, bring the laws to that level, and we all have to act very, very maturely. We in turn can create awareness to our karyakartas, tell them not to get into this. Yes, if somebody does that, then the party also has a responsibility to reprehend him. Now, this can be done by any individual of any party. I will not like to get into the details like Shamaji got into that, but let me tell you one thing. We all have to understand the new age communication will be through social media. It will not be through the traditional media, what was there. Or the P2P, or whether it is P2V communication, whether it is party to party man communication or party to voter communication, that all will be driven from social media, and there will be challenges.
Right.
We all are also working on that. I would not like to say that we have an absolute, sacrosanct answer.
Okay, Vineet Goenka.
There will be challenges. We will have to work in this.
I think the biggest issue to that will be, it's not just voter and candidate or voter and political party. It's also a lot of proxies and third parties that have a stake in this, and they do change and color the narrative. But Shama Mohammed, the last word to you, and I keep saying this on national media, I'm biased towards women. You can hate me for this, but I always give a woman the last word on the show. Has the advent of social media put a lot of responsibility on political parties to get together and also bring in and usher in the electoral reforms? We can't have rules of 1960s, and digital media rules cannot, the traditional media rules cannot be superimposed on social media, and that's precisely what is happening right now.
No, I agree with you. There has to be change in all those things. But most important, all political parties should be responsible when there are WhatsApp messages, Twitter messages, all those things. And let's not forget that, I just want from the they have said that it's surveys where the BJP is the one who spreads more fake news. And let me put out one point very clearly. Amit Malviya is not anybody, is not a Karyakarta, like Vineet Goenka says. He's the head of the IT cell. He put a photograph of Vijay Lakshmi Pandit along with Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru and gave a derogatory statement. So if the head of the IT department can do that, then what more can I say? So I just want the Bharatiya Janata Party, Mr. Narendra Modi and his app to stop spreading fake news, the IT cell head to stop spreading fake news. Nobody should do it, whether it's our party, Bharatiya Janata Party, or any party, because people should know the truth and not go by fake news and fake this thing. So, you know, that's the most, so the IT cell head is Mr. Amit Malviya. And you know about what he did with Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, along with, he superimposed the photograph of, put the photograph of Vijay Lakshmi Pandit, both of them together, and gave it another story to it. I mean, that is very, very derogatory. I'm sorry to say that.
Okay, Shama, I'm sorry. Shama, I get your point, I get your angst, and I think I strongly denounced it the day he did it. I denounced it on camera. He joined us and I denounced it there. But I think, you know, the responsibility lies on each one of us. Social media has obviously been a great tool. It has democratized narratives, but it has also been a very polarizing factor as far as our political discourse is concerned. An election commission's intent perhaps is to keep a check. I wonder if they will be able to walk the talk. But with that, Nitin Pai, Akash Banerjee, Shama Mohammed and Vineet Goenka, thank you very, very much for being with us on this edition of the India Development Debate. We take a breather, we come back with yet another very important issue, and this you should watch, because if you want to take your next flight, you would be interested to know if you're flying the 737 MAX, which regulators across the world, in Australia, Singapore, Indonesia, UK and perhaps now even Europe, are willing to and have banned. Should India still fly those? That's a question that's coming up and will be answered by a stellar panel right here on the India Development Debate.